Hey YouTube, it's James from the Wyvern Watch here. This time, obviously, once again with another deck profile. This is one of my own little concoctions, this one. When the Runick cards came out, I very much wanted to play them, but I just love the idea of, the potential deck of all being spells, which is quite unusual. However, when they did eventually came out and I started reading through the effects, I thought, actually, no, this isn't a deck you can just run with Runicks. I mean, I'm sure you can do it, but it's not something that I wanted to do. So I was looking around trying to think of what I could put with Runicks in order to make it playable for me, at least. And I landed on Magical Musketeers. So this is another deck that I've not built solely before, but I like the smaller engine part of it, and I thought this might be ideal. And there were one or two other profiles with this combination on it, and honestly, when I'm playing it, it's so good fun to play the Magical Musketeer side of things whilst having the Runick thing, the Runick engine going on in the background as well. So this is my deck. It's a little bit unique, like I say. I'd love to hear some of the comments of what you think about it. Those Runick players out there are probably going to be spitting all over it, but but we don't always have to play Runicks to the competitive level. It's more about the fun side of things for me, of course. Also, just a quick shout out to my Dark Magician Girl mat, absolutely stunning. One of my favourites, of course. I just thought, I don't have a Magical Musketeer or a Runick mat, so which one should we use? And this one came out. So yeah, absolutely love this mat, and it took me a long time to get it. Came from Japan, this one, so I hope you like it. But anyway, let's get on with the profile. So as you can imagine, what I'll do is I'll walk through the Musketeer cards, because most of you probably haven't sort of seen these in action before. But this is Musketeer Casper. And during either player's turn, you can activate Magical Musket spell or track cards from your hand. Full stop. And if a spell or track card is activated in this card column, you can add one Magical Musket card from your deck to your hand, but not a card with the same name as that activated card. You can only use each effect of Magical Musketeer Casper once per turn. So really easily start to get some really good advantage of that. But because we're using the spell and track cards from the hand, the opponent's just not expecting it. So that's why I thought it'll work really well, because some of them are quite devastating effects, to be fair. The next card is also a 3-of, and that is Musketeer Starfire. The lady of the deck, I should say. So during either player's turn, you can activate activate Magical Musket spell track cards from your hand, which is obviously the common effect. And if a spell or track card is activated in this card's column, it can special summon one level 4 or lower Magical Musket from your deck in defense position, except Starfire. So again, really handy effect in the lovely secret rare, that one. Or you're going to ask me the set now, and I can't remember. SPWA, oof, no idea, can't remember. The last 3 monsters, I've got 2 Magical Musketeer Kid Brave and 1 Magical Musketeer Doc. This is how I've chosen to the ratio sort of thing, but Kid Brave is during either player's turn, you can activate Magical Musket spell track cards from your hand, again common effect. And if this spell track card is activated in this card's column, you can discard 1 Magical Musket card, draw 2 cards. And then the Doc is if the spell track card is activated in this card's column, you can add 1 Magical Musket card from your graveyard to your hand, but not a card with the same name as the activated card. So you can see why I've sort of picked these ratios when you start reading through the effects. But that's it for the Magical Musket monsters. We'll come back to the spells and traps in a bit, but we're going to move on to Runick. So that is it for monsters, full stop. And obviously, as you can imagine with this deck, there are an awful lot of spells. So I won't through all the Runick stuff, because of course most of you will probably be fairly familiar with the Runick cards anyway. But I've got 3 Runick tip, which is obviously just the add one Runick card and banish off the top, bash one card off the opponent's deck. So a bit of a must-have. Obviously, it's a quick play spell as well, which means you can put it in the same column as perhaps one of the magical musketeers, and obviously triggering their effects in the opponent's turn as well sometimes. 3 flashing fire. Just space those out as well. Flashing fire, so destroy a special summoned monster on your opponent's side and then banish 2 cards. Obviously, they all have the effect of special summoning a Runick monster from the extra deck to the extra monster zone as well. They all pretty much share that effect as well. 3 freeze and curses. So this is the one that you can negate one monster effect, target one effect monster and negate the effects, and banish 3 from the top of the opponent's deck. After that, we've also got 3 destruction. These are all quick play so far as well, like I say, all sharing the same theme, and obviously making sure they're activated in Magical Musketeers columns. So this is destroy 1 spell or trap and then banish for 4. And then there's the 2 fountain, which obviously has now been restricted on the ban list, so I just had to pay some attention to that. But this is the one where you can activate a Runick quick play spell cards from your hand during your opponent's turn, and once per turn, if you activate a Runick quick play spell card, you can target up to 3 Runick quick play spell cards in your graveyard and place them on the bottom of your deck in any order, then draw the same number of cards. So, you know, obviously exceptional useful card for the Runicks, and no wonder it's been semi-limited. Allure, I've also got a 2, so Runick Allure. Some of these have been upgraded to the from the Mega Pack 23 Mega Tins as well, so last year's Mega Tin. And Allure, so each time a quick play spell card is activated, banish the top card of your opponent's deck. So that's not a once per turn effect either, and obviously a continuous spell. So that can start to ramp up if obviously you've got a handful of quick play spells. And then there's 4 one-offs as well, which I'll bring out all at the same time. So you've got Runick Golden Droplet, Runick Dispelling, Runick Smiting Storm, and 1 Runick Slumber. Now, like I say, those Runick Faithfuls might be able to correct me somewhat on the ratios that I'm using here. But the Droplet, of course, is the opponent draws 1, but we get them to banish the top 4. Dispel is 1. What is it? Oh yeah, opponent adds 1 random card from their deck to the hand. Adds a card from deck when their opponent adds a card from deck to the hand, except during the draw phase. Discard 1 random card from their hand and then banish the top 2 cards. And then Smiting Storm is banish cards from the top of your opponent's deck up to the number of cards they control. And Slumber, of course, is protecting one of my monsters from destruction and then obviously banishing 3. So you can see why, again, I've probably picked some of those just to be a few one-offs, but I wanted to play as many as possible, as I normally do on this type of thing, as you well know by now if you've been watching my profiles. Okay, so we'll finish. Well, we'll go to, there's a couple of cards here that are non-Runick or Magical Musketeer, so we'll just go for the Forbidden Chalice and 1 Instant Fusion. Instant Fusion obviously going for one of the, another way of getting out one of the Runick fusion monsters. But Forbidden Chalice, popular one at the moment, but it's just target 1 face-up monster on the field until the end of this turn. That target gains 400 attack, but its effects are negated. That can go either way, really, especially obviously if you don't want one of your monsters being overrun. So giving that extra 400 attack boost sometimes makes the difference, but maybe more often than not being used to negate the effects of a monster. And then the rest of the cards are all Magical Musket cards. So we'll just do the spells first. So there's just 1 3-of, which is Cross Domination. This card comes up a lot. So if you control a magical musket monster, target one face-up monster on the field, and until the end of this turn changes attack and defense to 0. Also, its an effect's negated. You can only activate one magical musket cross-domination per turn. But again, it's quick play, so maybe you might be using it on your opponent's turn, of course. But if you've got it set anyway, then it just makes that little bit of difference, doesn't it? So, but yeah, really good looking card as well. If you zoom in on that a little bit, well, I'll zoom in, but just hold it closer. Really cool looking card. I really like the magical muskets, actually. I think they're due to get some extra support relatively soon, according to MK40 as well. So, and Cole 40, I think it is, sorry. So yeah, fingers crossed, we might be able to make a few improvements. Onto traps then. So there's 1 3 of again. So this is Magical Musket Desperado. So if you control a magical musket monster, target one face-up card on the field, destroy it. That's it really. So yeah, dead easy. It's one face-up card though, so it's just making sure you pick the right time. And then there's 1 2 of, which is Magical Musket Last Stand, and 1 1 of, which is Dancing Needle. So Last Stand is when your opponent activates a spell or trap card while you control a magical musket monster. Negate the activation, and if you do, destroy the card. And then Dancing Needle is if you control a magical musket monster, target up to 3 cards in your graveyard, banish them. In the graveyards, plural, sorry, banish them. You can only activate 1 magical musket needle per turn. So again, really useful. And again, if you're doing it from the hand as well, the opponent's just obviously not expecting it at all. So that's the end of the main deck. Moving on to the extra deck, of course. So I'll start with the fusions, and as you can imagine, I've tried to run, well, I have run all of the Runick fusions. It's just a case of which ones do you run multiples of. So I've got 1 Hugin, which is really the reason why I wanted to build a deck. I absolutely love that artwork. I think it's beautiful, that. And obviously when the Prismatic Secret Rare version came out, I wanted that one as well. Still running 1 Moonin, the of the Runick Wings. I've got 2 Jerry, the Runick Fangs. I'm hoping that's a good ratio, but again, this is open to change. 1 Frecky, the Runick Fangs, and then 1 Sleipnir, the Runick Mane. So I think Mane is probably the one where I might need to increase the numbers on. You guys tell me, but I haven't played with it as much as I probably should have done, but I've got 1 in there at the moment. I might have to switch this for the quarter century one as well, but the I'm hoping my ratio is reasonably okay anyway. So that's it for the fusions. Then I've got obviously the links and a few XEs as well. So links wise, of course, I've got the Magical Musketeer Max, 1 Gravity Controller, 1 Moonraker from the Underworld, and 1 of my, of course, my staple link 2s is Nightmare Phoenix. Magical Musketeer Max. If this card is link 1, of course, so it's obviously very easy to get out. Add 1 Magical Musket spell trap with different names from your deck to your hand up to the number of monsters your opponent controls. So you can very, very quickly load your hand up with spell and traps there. Special summon Magical Musket monsters with different names from your deck up to the number of spell traps your opponent controls. Which again is amazing, getting those extra bodies on board. Gravity Controller requires a non-link monster in the extra monster zone, and then obviously it can banish itself, and is it banish or return to hand? I think it's something like that. Moonraker we're familiar with, and obviously Phoenix we're familiar with as well. But yeah, really, if you were running Magical Musketeer Max, you'd probably run 3 of these, but me being me, I like to run multiple types and try not to run 3 ofs in the extra deck, just to create a bit of variety, if nothing else. And then XC's monsters, so we've got, obviously it's a level 3 deck with the Musketeers, so we've gone for Phantom Knight's Breaksword, 1 number 17 Leviathan Dragon, which I think, yep, that is the Ultimate Rare version, albeit not first edition, but still very pretty card nonetheless. We've got one Ashura King, which I keep insisting is grossly underrated, is my take on this card. And then last but not least, I've got one more ultimate rare Castel, the Sky Blasker Musketeer, simply because it's got Musketeer in the name and it is possible to make him. So I've decided just to run the one of those as well. But just going back to Ashura King, if we 3 level 3 monsters to make, so you don't make it all the time, of course. While this card has material, it can attack a number of times each battle phase up to the number of materials attached to it. And at the start of the battle's damage step, if this card battles, it gains 200 attack. And when another monster effect is activated, quick effect, you can detach one material from this card, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy the card. Cracking card in my opinion, and it certainly works well in this deck. So those are my XC lineup, and that is the end of the deck profile. So once again, guys, thank you very much for tuning in and listening to me for this long. Hope you enjoyed the playmat. Hope you enjoyed my combination of Magical Musketeers and the Runicks. Let me know what you think of the combination of the two. Like I say, it's a little bit unusual, but that's my deck building all day long, or a little bit unusual. So yeah, love to hear your comments. Keep them coming. Keep the subscribes coming as well. At last count, we were up to 154 this morning, which means we're growing very fast. We're obviously getting closer and closer to the next milestone, which I've set myself at 200 subscribers. And like I say, just keep the likes coming as well. Those comments that you've been putting on are really, really super useful. And I'm actually in the process of amending a couple of decks purely because of your comments that you've been making. So I appreciate it. Thanks once again, and we'll see you next time.